Hello, everybody. It's Aaron Olinger. Today is June the 3rd, 2021. I want to do a part two to a video I did called Preparing for Future Events, but I'm going to call this one Lights Out. I got a few responses back on Facebook Messenger, and a lot of people seem to feel that if the grid went down, it'd be just a minor inconvenience, no big deal. Others felt that it was impossible and I was just trying to sell fear. I can tell you right now, I don't sell fear. I sell preparation. I get people to prepare for something because when you're prepared, you're going to thrive through a calamity or a bad situation. Where others who aren't prepared, they're not going to be able to adapt. They're going to suffer. Some may not even make it. But my whole goal is to try to get people to prepare. So, with that being said, I want to go a little bit more deeper into the lights out power grid being attacked or somehow going down. And I'm going to give you a couple, just two or three things that can bring the grid down. One is a CME, what they call coronal mass ejection from the sun. That creates a solar storm in space that, as it reaches Earth, it literally is so high in electromagnetic pulse that it shorts out everything electrical. Has this happened? Yes. This has happened back in 1859. They called it the Carrington event. But back then, there wasn't much power. There was more what they call telegraph lines that were around that was more common. Very few cities had any electric lights at the time, but it caused fires and anything. They had to replace a lot of those telegraph lines because those lines were totally overloaded. And in today's time when we're totally dependent upon electricity, you could bet the power lines and everything plugged in is going to get shorted out. Then the next thing that could bring the power grid down would be an EMP weapon or a nuke that's detonated in our upper atmosphere. You won't see it, you won't hear it, but everything electrical will just go out. And our enemy nations are making those weapons because they see that as being part of our Achilles heel. And the only way to truly be able to attack the United States outside of a bioweapon without having to destroy our farm belt, which some of these nations, especially China, needs to be able to feed their people at this moment. Then the third thing that can bring the power grid down is going to be a what they call one of those cyber attacks. And I don't know if any of you have been keeping up with the news, but in the last 5 years, they've increased. And just this week alone, over Memorial Day weekend up till today, I mean, they've attacked, even before Memorial Day, a couple weeks back, they attacked pipelines. They attacked cities. They've attacked, I saw recently where they attacked it's a place that makes sunscreen. And somehow they came in over the system, reprogrammed it, and had it dumping benzene into the sunscreen. So there you are out there trying to protect yourself from sun, rubbing sunscreen on that's got benzene in it that's going to end up giving you cancer. They've attacked subway systems. They're even attacking the food chain now. And this is very serious. People are hearing it. They're not paying it no attention. Eventually, they're going to get around to Wall Street, the banks, and more importantly, the power grid. And right now, that's the total elephant in the room that people don't want to see or even talk about because that's going to violate their form of reality. That's going to change the reality. Everybody wants to go back to being normal, as they put it, but we're living in a different time period right now. So the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about individually, and the question that you should be asking yourself is, what are you going to do when the lights turn out? Now, for those who feel that it's just going to be a minor inconvenience, I'm going to tell you a few things that's going to happen that you should understand This won't be no inconvenience. I mean, if you thought that when Trump declared a 30-day lockdown that they never enforced, by the way, if you thought that was something, this is major. This will be far worse. Uh, One, you're going to have supply chain disruptions. And with supply chain disruptions, that means no gasoline. You won't be able to buy gas. And when you don't have gas, then the truckers themselves aren't going to be able to haul goods to your neighborhood stores. They're not going to be able to bring in supplies. They're not going to be able to bring in clothing, things, necessities that you're going to need for day-to-day survival. Truckers are going to be down. Um, like I said, gas stations are going to be down. You're not going to have no electricity or no natural gas for heating during the winter months. Uh, and just no electricity for anything, period. Banks and ATMs are going to be down. So if you think you're going to go to the bank, take out some money, rush to the store and buy some last minute stuff once the grid is down, you can forget that plan of action. It's not going to happen. And for those of you that are Bitcoin rich, we already saw when Texas grid went down that you can't go out there and rush and get anything at all. You're not even going to have access to your money. So then you get to the fact that stores aren't going to be open. Most of the stores that sell produce or food that has to be kept cold is going to be dumping that stuff in the trash within 4 hours of the grid going down. Then you're going to have hospitals themselves, with truckers not being able to bring in supplies. They could probably go 30 days, maybe, if a lot of people aren't coming in hurt. But most of the hospitals, from the employees I've talked to, they have emergency generators up on top of their buildings, usually between 3 to 5, and it would power everything that the hospital would need, so long as someone was still bringing them fuel, like maybe the National Guard or somebody, if they got on top of it real quick. If your job uses electricity in any form, even for lighting, your job will be shut down. So there's going to be no work to go to for you to be able to earn any income to be able to purchase anything with. There's going to be no TV, no game systems. So if you got some little wild ones around the house that you keep entertained with a game system, if you don't have board games, well, you talk about someone going to get on your nerves real quick, it's going to happen. You're going to have to face the fact that there's going to be no water for drinking, because it takes electricity to run the pumps that pumps the water to your house. So there's going to be no water to drink. There's going to be no water for washing dishes, washing clothes, bathing. I mean, you're going to figure out how you're going to be able to bathe. Then you get down to power tools are going to be down. If you don't have a generator to run your power tools or some sort of solar system or something, you're going to have to do everything by hand. Even if you have a garden in the backyard, you're going to have the physical ability to be able to work a hoe, use a spade to be able to turn the soil. I mean, everything's going to be done by hand with no fuel coming to your house as far as natural gas or electricity. You're going to have to be able to chop wood. So physical fitness is going to be a key thing here, and that's something that, for a grid down scenario, you should be adding to your defenses, is getting yourself in some sort of shape. All manufacturing, including the manufacturing of pharmaceuticals, is going to be down. So shortages will occur almost immediately if you can't get your prescriptions. I said there'd be no water for sanitation. I don't know if I said that earlier or not, but your toilets will not run. Most cities, if you live in the city, if your water gets turned off within 3 days, they'll condemn your house as a health hazard if you have a toilet that is not functioning in the house and it's just filling up with feces and urine. Computers, I mean, like I said before, your computers are all going to be down. So for those of you who think you can work from home, that's not going to happen. with the TVs being down, you're not even going to be able to get news to be able to figure out what's going on or what's happening. Communications will go down as well. So your phone, it might run for a day or so. After that, you got no form of communications to even get in touch with family members or friends. I say, and with no water coming into your house, you're not going to have any water to cook with. As far as there's a lot of products out there that you might store back, like beans or rice, pasta. You will not be able to cook because those products need water to reconstitute them. Even freeze-dried food needs a certain amount of water. And if you got no water coming in and you have no water stockpiled, then you can't even reconstitute your dry products. And I say, well, I'm gonna stop there. I don't want to get too lengthy on that, but you get the basic gist of what I'm saying here. Now, they've done a test and found out that to strengthen the power grid against cyber attack, it's going to take $30 billion to strengthen that. But nobody wants to spend the money on that right now. And so that leaves our system wide open for attack. Now, it's important for you to know there's only 3 grids in the United States. You have an East grid, you have a West grid, and then Texas has its own power grid. So if someone does a cyber attack and they have a successful attack on all 3 grids, then the entire country is going to be without power for weeks, months, even years, depending upon how much damage that they do. If they're an unsuccessful attack and they're only able to successfully attack one, then half the United States is going to be without power. So you're not going to be able to go to a motel or go over a friend's house to use the showers or anything like that. They're going to be sitting in the dark just like you are. So you need to get some preparations in place. You need to plan for this. This is one of the most serious things, at least I say it's in the top 5 of the worst possible situations you could face. And like I said, under Obama administration, it was number 1. So right now you have the NAIC and you have FEMA. And they're telling everyone at this moment, because of the current threats, to put together a 6-month supply of food in your house, food and water. Now, I will tell you this, if everyone in the United States was able to put back 6 months of food and water, and it don't have to be totally all water, because as long as you know where there's a water source and you have the ability to purify it to make it safe to drink, you don't necessarily have to stockpile the water. But as much as you can, you should. At least bottled waters of some sort. But going back to what I was saying, with 6 months that they're talking, if everybody in the United States is able to put back 6 months of food and water, well, no one would have to suffer if the grid came down. But we already know, if you saw the video that I made called Preparing for Future Events Today, I gave a 3 pigs analogy. And as I spoke in there, the pig that makes his house of straw is not going to even want to see it as being a reality. It's just all an urban myth. It's just people spreading fear, trying to scare you, trying to control you. They'll have an excuse for everything. But as I said before, good excuses don't produce good results. Those people will suffer. They probably barely got a week to 2 weeks worth of food in their house. So as soon as that grid comes down, they immediately become the zombies that you hear people talk about, preparing for a zombie apocalypse, and everybody laughs. They're the ones that are going to be out there trying to take from those who have. Those are the zombies, the unprepared people. And the ones who build their house of stick, they only got 2 weeks to a month's worth of food at best. So within a few weeks, they'll be out there to join them in numbers. So you really have to look at, where do you want to be? You know, when the lights go out, and the lights, when they go out, they're going to come without no warning. Keep in mind that when Trump enacted the 30-day lockdown, a lot of people had almost a 2 week notice. And if you wanted to ignore it the first week, you had a for sure 1 week notice to get ready, and still people wasn't ready. They didn't want to accept that they were even going to do it. So, and then there was the last minute panic once they realized that it was going to go into effect. It created shortages in toilet paper and other things. You know, they want to say that preppers are hoarders. We're not. We already have our stuff in advance. It's the last minute three little pigs that build their house of straw and stick that's running around panicking, buying up everything without even rhyme or reason, no plan of action in place. They're the ones that create the shortages. So if anyone's hoarding it, it'll be them with their last minute panic and fear. And you do not want to be out there when those people are battling over those few resources. You want to be able to be at home and be safe. And along with that, keeping in mind that, again, FEMA and the NAIC is telling everyone have 6 months worth of food and water, that threat has to be real. You can't sit back and ignore it. With all the cyber attacks that are going on right now, that is a immediate calamity that can happen at any day. Where Trump gave you a week's warning at least, this is going to happen, and it's not going to come with any warning. And 9 times out of 10, it'll probably happen close to winter time, when it can have the worst effect on the American people that live up north that have to deal with a winter. So one of the things that you want to do right now, and I have 7 things that I tell people that they should be prepping right now, is number 1 is going to be water. You can only go 3 days without it. So start stacking back some cases of some water. If you have at least 10 to 15 cases, that's enough water to last at least 30 days to maybe 6 weeks for a family of 5. And that's just for drinking. If you're using it to pour it down in your toilet, keep your toilet running, you're just wasting your resource. Second thing is going to be food. You should be stockpiling food right now because, again, you got to be able to go for 6 months. Now, if you got a deep freeze and you have a generator or something for power, then I say you got a real shot. If not, you need to be stocking up a lot of dry products, rice, beans, grits, oatmeal, anything that's going to fill up bellies. I mean, pasta and related sauces and seasonings to be able to make that more palatable. But you got to have close to 6 months worth of food minimum right now, according to FEMA and the NAIC. Then the next thing that I would say is going to be medications. Anything that gives relief. Aspirins, Tylenol, Advil, Aleve, cold and flu medicines, anything that can give relief to symptoms of illnesses, you should be stocking that up. And if there's a way to stock up your prescriptions or to be able to buy ahead, talk to your doctor. Instead of giving you a month's worth of something, maybe you could, if you can afford it, your insurance can afford it, maybe you can get 3 months or 6 months worth of something in advance. And just know how to be able to store it, because things like insulin has to be kept cold, otherwise the medicine's ruined. So understand the storage techniques that you're going to need to know how to do to put back medicines. Then along with medicine is going to be fuel. That's going to be gasoline for your generator in your car, propane or kerosene for heating your house during winter, unless of course you got a wood burning stove that you install in the house or you have a working fireplace. But then you have to have axes and whatever that you're going to need to be able to chop wood and be able to split wood. After fuel, I say next thing is going to be sanitation. You have to have a means to be able to get rid of the feces. I mean, you're individually, you're going to fill up at least a 5-gallon bucket a week, and that's per person. So you definitely want to figure out what you're going to do for disposal of that, and you don't want it to be left in your house, that's for sure. After that, it's going to be fuel. Well, I already said fuel. You're going to have something for power. and that's going to be generator, maybe gas or diesel. It could also be solar, which I definitely recommend solar. Solar would be a great backup to your gas generator because I don't care how much gas you say you got, eventually you'll run out and then your generator's no good. So a great backup would be some sort of a solar system or even a wind turbine system. But I've seen a system by Eco called Delta. I hear a lot about the Patriot system. I compared the two together, and in my research, the Delta is about $400 less, and it produces more power than what the Patriot system does. But Patriot, great system if you're looking at solar. But in my opinion, and just seeing the research that I've done, the Delta is kind of edging it out. And like I said, it's about $400 less. You're probably about $1,600, $1,700 for a decent system. And power. I think that's covers the basic seven that I wanted to cover there. Going back to food, I do want to say that your caloric intake or food you should be storing back should be calorie dense. Knowing that you're going to have to be more active because you got to do everything by hand. Average man is going to need about 2,500 calories a day. Average female 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day. Now, a soldier that is extremely active, a soldier is going to probably need about 32 to 3,300 calories a day, and that's because he's extremely active. They're running all the miles, they're doing stuff. That's to keep the body functioning. Now, in a minimum, you could get by on 1,000 calories a day, but anything under that, you for a prolonged period of time, you'll be looking at organ failure. And then even with water, you're only going to go 3 days without water. You can go 3 weeks without food, but after 3 days without water, you're looking at probably even organ failure on that with your kidneys and stuff. Your body will start shutting down. So that's the reason why I have water listed as number one and food listed as number two on my must do list. Uh, and another thing you should realize is that when they did a computer simulation in Washington, they found that 90% of the U.S. population would be dead if the power grid remained down for 6 months to 24 months. They felt that 90% would die because we're that dependent on electricity. They figured that the average person would remain civil for up to 4 days after the grid went down. After that, there would be panic, there would be looting, and actually 4 days is a good estimate because my opinion is as soon as people realize the grid's not coming back on, by that night, all hell's going to probably break loose. So that's the reason why self-defense is extremely important because you're going to have to be able to maintain and defend your family. You're going to have to be able to defend your preparation so people can't come in and take them from you. Because believe me, if they can smell food in the air and the average person starving could smell it up to a half-mile away, and they're going to be coming like zombies to take your stuff from you. So firearms, bows, crossbows, swords, machetes, any sort of melee weapon, in case you run out of bullets, you have to be able to transition to something else. You need to have those things on hand. You need to take classes on how to use them. You have to have this knowledge already put away. Even a seed bank under food would be great to put up. Just buy some seeds and put them back. So if you're going into a spring or summer months, if you make it through the first winter, then you have a means to be able to grow some food and try to sustain you, hopefully, until the situation ends. Because they've already said that, I mean, it could go 2 years if the EMP or something happens, and then we have to order in the replacement parts from China, Taiwan, and Korea. How likely are they going to be to try to help us? So This is one, like I said, is one of the most important things that you can face. This is something you need to be prepared for. If they say 6 months, they mean 6 months, and truthfully, it could go beyond that. So right now, start preparing. If you're prepared to go 6 months, you can just about make it through most events that can happen. Mother Nature can throw a monkey wrench into things. Man could also throw a monkey wrench. There will be no warning when this is going to come down. So it's very important that you get started today in your preparations and don't wait for to see what other people are doing. That would be the biggest mistake you can make. Get out there, get active, and do what you can to be prepared so when something happens, you're going to thrive while others will just have to pay the price for trying to ignore things. And I want to dedicate this video today to my club that I'm a member of. It's the Roadrunners Motorcycle MC. Shout out to all my brothers out there. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of the severity of this threat. This is something that you cannot ignore. Get out there, take preparations, because if half the nation goes down or the whole nation goes down, it is very unlikely that help is going to come. They're going to be trying to save their own people, and I'm talking law enforcement, military, different things. The resources will be allocated elsewhere. If you have resources that you can live on for that period of time, the better it's going to be for you. So everyone out there, have a great day and be ready for when the lights go out.